Good evening to one and all. And to one and all, a good evening. This evening I'm going to do a video of St. George, the Glebe area, above St. George Parish Church, by the Polyclinic. Yeah, this is the Frederick Freddie Miller Polyclinic here. Looking back down towards the Glebe, St. George. Polyclinic here. We named the Frederick Freddie Miller Polyclinic. And the St. George Rectory is next door. St. George Rectory next door. So again, I'm in the parish of St. George, which is the center of the island. St. George and St. Thomas are the two landlocked parishes in Barbados that are best referred to as the heart of Barbados or the central uplands of Barbados. So back down to the Glebe. St. George Parish Church is just down the hill. You can see a bit of the St. George Valley from here as well. So this is all the Polyclinic here. So, up the hill now. Up the hill here will be leading you back to the line at Gun Hill Signal Station, Newberry and Tate Hill. You can see the roads here want paving, and some of them are in bad condition. This hill can also be referred to as the Rectory Hill because it is where the St. George Rectory is located. St. George Rectory is located up this hill. Yeah. So when you go up this hill, you'll be passing the line at Gun Hill Signal Station, and then you head it up to Newberry. So I will go to my usual spot when they come up this hill, which is my usual spot when they come up here will be right at this corner on the other side of the road. That will be my usual spot whenever I come to this location to do vlogs. So remember, my usual place to do vlogs when I come up here will be my usual place to do vlogs when I come up here will be on the other side of the road. So we'll look at the Glebe Polyclinic, and the St. George Rectory is next door. St. George Rectory is right next door to the Polyclinic. St. George Rectory where the priests live. This is where the fair was held the last time. So again, I'm in the parish of St. George, which is in the center of the island. St. George and St. Thomas are the two landlocked parishes in Barbados. That's referred to as the heart of Barbados or the central uplands of Barbados. There is no sea nor coastline in these parishes. These are the two landlocked parishes in Barbados that are best referred to as the heart of Barbados or the central uplands of Barbados. St. George is also my father's birth parish. The parish in which my father was born and raised. For those of you who don't know who my father is, Satchmore that sings or that used to sing years ago with the Sound Pebbles group is my father, and he is from St. George in a place called Ellerton. So this polyclinic has been recently renamed the Frederick Freddie Miller Polyclinic, The rectory is next door. The Frederick Freddie Miller Polyclinic is named after former member of Parliament for St. George, Frederick Freddie Miller. He was a member of Parliament for St. George for 18 years, from 1948 to 1966. And he was the father of the former member of Parliament for the city as well, Dame Billy Miller. He was her father. He was Billy Miller's father. Frederick Freddie Miller was a politician. And a member of Parliament for St. George. That is when St. George was a full constituency. It wasn't divided into St. George North and St. George South yet. It was just one constituency. St. George. You know, St. George is St. George is divided into two constituencies, St. George North and St. George South. St. George is the third largest parish in Barbados. St. George is also the basket parish of Barbados as well. St. George is the parish that fed many Barbadians for many years, from the 1630s up until this present day. Yeah. So looking back up the hill now, you can see the Gun Hill signal station. On top of the hill here is the Gun Hill signal station, which gives awesome views of 6 out of the 11 parishes in Barbados. The Gun Hill signal station is situated on top of this hill here. We are the building on the top of the hills. Gun Hill is the highest point in this St. George parish. Gun Hill is the highest point here in St. George, 1,700 feet above sea level. And it gives awesome views of 6 out of the 11 parishes in Barbados. Gun Hill signal station was established in 1818 as a fortress to signal when the enemies were coming in. And it was later acquired by the Barbados National Trust in 1982 on the 24th of November. When the signal station was later entrusted to the Barbados National Trust. It is still in their care today. The line is just below the signal station. The line of Gun Hill is just below the signal station. This is called the Rectory Hill because it falls on the same street as the rectory. St. George Rectory here where the priest lives. Thanks for watching. And again, my father is from St. George. My father's not sing. He was also a songwriter. He is from St. George in a place called Ellerton. My father used to write songs for Wendy Allen, Carolyn Leacock, Shara Hackett, and many others. My father is from St. George. My father's grandparents are from St. George. So thank you guys for watching now. Have a blessed evening and stay tuned for part 2 video up here in the Glebe, St. George once again.